I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
3, for public information, a copy of the Nebraska Open Meetings Act is available for review. It's above Tom. 4, notice of changes in the agenda by the city clerk. Additions may not be made to this agenda less than 24 hours before the beginning of the meeting unless added under item 5 of this agenda. Do we have any changes?
No changes, Your Honor.
5, citizens with business not scheduled on the agenda as required by state law. No matter may be considered under this item unless council determines that the matter requires emergency action. Do we have any emergency actions? Okay. 6, closed session. Council reserves the right to enter into closed session if deemed necessary if the item is on the agenda as per section 84-1410 of the Nebraska Revised Statutes. 7, public comments. The purpose of this agenda item is to allow for public comment of items for potential discussion at a future council meeting. Comments brought to the council are for information only. The council will not take any action on the item except for referring it to staff to address for placement on a future council agenda. This comment period will be limited to 3 minutes per person. Do we have any public comments? Okay.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have a comment about the budget. I think this would be a more appropriate setting than the lunchtime one, so should I wait till 10:00?
No, you can address it now if you'd like.
Okay, so I'll preface my statements about it by saying I, like any other citizen, just assume pay less taxes I can as possible. However, after I realized or found out that the local option sales tax and LB 840 was on the ballot, and just kind of the climate of tax discussion in the state, I think that I'd be a little more concerned, I'm a little concerned about the renewal of the existing tax, just because of the climate. And so I would encourage you to, I also know that you can't be biased and pick sides, but get out factual, straightforward, easy to understand information about how much of that is in the general fund, what the general fund, that sales tax funds, which is over 50% as I understand it, and what those general fund services are, essentials, the police, the fire, Parks and Rec. You know all of the stuff, but I can't encourage you enough now that it's September 1st to get out straight factual information, easy to understand and follow, to media outlets, website, however you can, because I think that this is a wonderful way to keep the property taxes down, which is even more battle than taxes, I think, in the climate today. And so all of that is a piece of the message. So I guess what I'm here to say is just encourage you to get the information out early and often, any way you can. And I think the numbers and those potentials will speak for themselves.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah, by the way, I'm Jerry Stewart.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, David.
All right. Any other public comments? Okay. 8, consent calendar. Items in the consent calendar are proposed for adoption by one action for all items unless any member of the council requests that an item be considered separately. Do you have any questions or comments on the consent calendar? Do we have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Solomon, second by Scanlon. Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Colwell.
Yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
Scanlon.
Yes.
McCarrigan.
Yes. 9, petitions, communications, and public input. A, mayor to read the proclamation naming September as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas Nebraska's children are our greatest resource and childhood cancer is a tragic problem, and whereas childhood cancer is the leading cause of death by disease in children, and whereas 1 in 285 children in the United States will be diagnosed by their 20th birthday, and whereas 46 children per day, or 16,790 children per year, are diagnosed with cancer in the U.S., and whereas the average age of diagnosis is 6 years old, and whereas 80% of childhood cancer patients are diagnosed late and with metastatic disease, and whereas on average there's been a 0.6% increase in incidence per year since the mid-1970s, resulting in an overall incidence increase of 24% over the last 40 years. And whereas 2/3 of childhood cancer patients will have chronic health conditions as a result of their treatment toxicity, with 1/4 being classified as severe to life-threatening. And whereas approximately 1/2 of childhood cancer families rate the associated financial toxicity due to out-of-pocket expenses as considerable to severe. And whereas in the last 30 years, only 6 new drugs have been approved by the FDA to specifically treat childhood cancer, and whereas the National Cancer Institute recognizes the unique research needs of childhood cancer and the associated need for increased funding to carry this out. Whereas hundreds of nonprofit organizations at the local and national level, including the American Childhood Cancer Organization, are helping children with cancer and their families cope through educational, emotional, and financial support. And whereas researchers and healthcare professionals work diligently, dedicating their expertise to treat and cure children with cancer, and whereas too many children are affected by this deadly disease and more must be done to raise awareness and find a cure. Now therefore, I, Jeannie McCarrigan, Mayor of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, do hereby proclaim September 2024 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. I encourage all residents to observe Childhood Cancer Awareness Month and support this cause that so deeply impacts families in every community across our country.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Jeannie Anderson. I had to bring my notes because I'm used to talking to tiny preschoolers. So it's a little more nerve-wracking.
We appreciate that too.
I'm honored to be here representing all the childhood cancer angels, survivors, and fighters in our area. Our son Walker is a leukemia survivor. He was diagnosed in 2019 and completed chemo in 2021. Since his diagnosis, our realization of how unrecognized and unresearched childhood cancer is, I have made it a mission of mine to raise awareness and support for this terrible disease that affects so many children, including many, many children in our own area. September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and I set a goal for myself that each year I would accomplish at least one more way of raising awareness in September than I had the year before. So Mayor McCarrigan, thank you. This is a huge goal of mine, so it was very exciting. I encourage you all to do your research, to donate, to help a family battling childhood cancer, or to just help spread awareness during September. Tomorrow, Scottsbluff Public Schools are all going gold, so we're encouraging all of our staff, families, and students to wear gold or yellow to support this cause. So I ask that we spread the word and do that as well if you're able. So thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. B, council to discuss and consider action on a community festival permit for Esteban and Mary Gonzalez for the Festival of Freedom event on September 14, 2024, from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. to include vendors, noise permit, and the closure of the 1800 to 1900 blocks of Broadway. You can come up.
Pass that down.
Sure.
So this is our 19th annual Festival of Freedom, and it started with our family, the Gonzalez family. We've been doing this for 19 years. And it's, what we've done is just give somebody some hope and encouragement. For this festival, we're gonna talk a lot about mental health, suicide, and trauma, depression, and things like that. But we have some bands coming from Colorado. Then we have Avid Discord, Fuego, First Love, Stephanie Fielder, she'll be singing. Servant and Pastor P are actually rappers, and they're coming from Colorado as well. And then Tabor Dance Academy, they will be there.
Okay,
And we'll have baptismals that day too, so whoever wants, you bring your towel. This is the first year that we are inviting some cars to come along, so, you know, bring your hot rods, wet rods, and classic cars. And we've actually had this event different places. We've had it at Centennial Park a lot, and I don't know, so all you guys are new to me, so, you know, back in the day, everybody looked more familiar, so I guess I haven't been coming enough every year, you know, to have it. Sometimes we have it at the Chuckwagon Church. There's gonna be free food. Almost everything that we do will be free. We will have some, food trucks there, but, we can't go without giving free food and stuff, because that's what we're all about, you know, giving free stuff, so.
Sounds like a good cause.
yeah.
Yep.
And Kevin?
Yep, I actually had the new rec director, Tevia Daly, look into this,
Okay,
and Matt Carpenter too. So originally we're asked to block off First Avenue, but they decided that Broadway would be more appropriate and easier to accomplish. So, yeah, we think this is a good event and recommend approval.
okay,
So you're gonna block off 18th and 19th?
Yes.
Awesome. And next year, God willing, this will be bigger, and we're gonna collaborate with some other, people that have a heart like us, and so we're probably gonna do it early August, so that we can give backpacks and shoes away and, give haircuts out. And just-
Before school, is the thought.
Great.
Congratulations on 19 years.
Well, thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
great.
You're done?
You're done.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'll move to approve the festival permit.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, motion by Scanlon, second by Colwell. Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Solomon,
Yes.
Scanlon,
Yes.
McCarrigan,
Yes.
Colwell,
Yes.
All right. 10, resolution and ordinances. Council to consider action on the third reading of the ordinance amending the residency requirements for fire department employees.
an ordinance of the City of Scottsbluff, Nebraska, amending Chapter 8, Article 1, Section 23 of the Scottsbluff Municipal Code, dealing with residency of the fire department by amending the residency requirement for employees and staff, providing for an effective date, and providing for publication in pamphlet form.
Okay,
And this is extending it out to 30 miles. Is that the new change?
Yeah, I think it was 30
Okay.
miles, 45 minutes.
30 miles, 45 minutes.
Yep.
okay.
And that's in line with the police department as well. They'll be the same.
And you haven't had any issues with police department with the extension? Okay.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the ordinance?
So moved.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Scanlon, second by Solomon. Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Scanlon,
Yes.
McCarrigan,
Yes.
Solomon,
Yes.
Colwell,
Yes.
B, council to consider action on the third reading of the ordinance updating utility user fees, including water and sewer fees, solid waste collection, and surcharge for stormwater.
an ordinance of the City of Scottsbluff amending and changing Chapter 6, Article 6 for solid waste collection fees at Section 6-6-23, 6-6-24, amending and changing sewer user fees, including surcharge for stormwater regulatory requirements at section 6-6-19, 6-6-20, and 6-6-22, amending and changing the water service fees at section 6-6-28, all in Chapter 6, Article 6 of the Municipal Code, all relating to a monthly billing cycle, repealing prior provisions of the Municipal Code, providing for an effective date, and providing for publication in pamphlet form.
Okay. Do we have a motion to approve the ordinance?
Move to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
Caldwell.
Yes.
McCarrigan.
Yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
Scanlon.
Yes.
C, council to consider action on the first reading of the ordinance adopting the budget statement to be termed the annual appropriation bill for fiscal year 2024-2025. Okay,
An ordinance of the City of Scottsbluff, Nebraska to adopt the budget statement to be termed the annual appropriation bill for fiscal year beginning October 1st, 2024, to appropriate sums for necessary expenses and liabilities, to provide for an effective date, and to provide for publication in pamphlet form.
okay. D, council to consider action on the first reading of the ordinance allowing for exceeding the allowable growth and basic allowable growth limits for the 2024-2025 fiscal year by 1% of budgeted restricted funds.
This is something that we do every year along with our budget. If, it's kind of complicated, but this is something that we would use in the event of a disaster. And if we didn't do this, it would be a decreased amount. And so for right now, we're recommending that, well, we're just gonna read it for now. And then we don't know how LB 34 will affect this next year, so we're paying attention.
Okay,
An ordinance for exceeding the allowable growth and basic allowable growth limits for the 2024-2025 fiscal year by 1% of budgeted restricted funds, providing for an effective date, and providing for publication in pamphlet form.
okay. Bids and awards. A, council to discuss and consider action on awarding the bid for the Cleveland Field fence replacement to Van Pelt Fencing in the amount of $63,135.
Yep, Mayor and Council, this is for the outfield fence at Cleveland Field. This is something we've been planning and working on for a while now. We've considered different types of fences. We've settled on an 8-foot chain link fence. We received 2 bids. One bid was considered non-conforming. And so we're recommending that we go with a bid from Van Pelt Fencing in the amount of $63,135, which is $2,105 but below engineer's estimate.
And it currently is a wood fence?
It's currently a wood fence. It's been there for quite a few years.
It's just
So
deteriorating.
Very old. Yeah,
Okay.
and it's been described as dangerous, so it's important we get that replaced.
Okay,
Are they thinking about doing it this fall then, if it gets approved, or?
We're hoping for around November.
Okay.
It'll be at a time when WNCC might be having practice, but they've agreed to work with us while we get that replaced.
Okay.
all right. Do we have a motion to approve?
Move to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, motion by Colwell, second by Solomon. Any questions or comments? Call the roll, please.
McCarrigan.
Yes.
Scanlon.
Yes.
Caldwell.
Yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
12, council reports, informational only. This item is intended for council members to update and inform other council members of meetings attended since the last city council meeting. Do we have any updates?
Regional governance tomorrow, so it's a WNCC.
Okay. Anything else? All right, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, motion by Scanlon, second by Colwell. Call the roll, please.
Caldwell.
Yes.
Solomon.
Yes.
Scanlon.
Yes.
McCarrigan.
Yes. We're adjourned.